Good morning to all my friends and family, and welcome to Jim's 5 a.m. Club. It's Sunday, I'm on a bushwalk and I'm down here at a creek somewhere between North Mead, Borkham Hills, Castle Hill, Carlingford, West Pennant Hills and North Rocks. But it's like I'm in a rainforest. It's just absolutely beautiful. It's peaceful. It's just absolutely glorious. So what I want to do is just go on one of my customary walk and talks. And today's book summary is entitled Eat, Move, Sleep, which is quite topical and I guess quite relevant to today's effort. And it's written by an author named Tom Rath, an author who's written at least 8 books. I did a book summary a little bit earlier on one of his books, which I found quite powerful. And what we'll do now is we'll continue the journey and see what sort of life hacks we can pick up on this second part of my bushwalk. So it gets a bit steep on this side here, so I'll try and be careful so I don't lose my footing, but we'll see what we can learn from this book entitled Eat, Move, Sleep. So Tom kicks off his book with an interesting quote just to get us into the mood and get us thinking along a particular line, and it's a bold quote where he says, "Every hour you spend on your rear, every hour you spend sitting down, saps your energy and ruins your life." So there you go. You can't be any clearer than that. So this book is all about movement, keeping on moving, and it will discuss the importance of movement to humans, and that by not moving, you're putting yourself at severe risk, especially as you're getting a little bit older, because we can all suffer the consequences of deep vein thrombosis by staying stagnant and non-motionary for too long. So as we said, this book is about movement. So the first formal point to come out of this text from this author is that we need to limit inactivity instead of trying to work out more. So he says here that if you sit down for 6 hours a day, even if you work out for 2 hours afterwards, you can't reverse and you won't reverse the health damage that you've done by being sedentary for so long. So the key message from this first point coming out of this book is that we need to be inactive, or not to be inactive, should I say, for long stretches of time, other than, of course, when we sleep, which you can't really help. So I guess we're designed to be inactive for part of the day, but we're not meant to be inactive all of the day. So in order to be healthy, according to this author, according to this text, we need to create a reason to move, and to move frequently throughout the day. So the author here says, don't sit longer than an hour, and wherever possible, take the stairs, walk, move, just do something. And one of the advantages of the new Fitbits and all these new technologies is that you can set an alarm which will get you to move if you've been sedentary for more than an hour. So there is technology that we can use these days to help us on our path to stay active and keep the blood flowing through our veins and partnering with us so that we can live a healthier lifestyle. The next point that the author makes, after the point on movement, is where he reminds us of the importance of staying away, where possible, from sugar. He says that sugar is absolutely terrible for us, and that we need to keep away from it. And unfortunately, sugar is part of everybody's life that we need to learn how to manage. But sugar is something that we need to be careful of. And then he said something which I didn't really know, but it puts it all into perspective. He asks the question, how much sugar do you think that each person consumes on a daily basis? And, you know, it's one of those questions that very, very few people have an answer for. But he says that most people in the Western world, can consume, it's okay, come through, can consume up to their body weight in sugar every year. So just imagine having a statue of yourself made out of sugar, and each year you'll end up consuming that entire structure. So that's a lot of sugar, and potentially, according to this author, it's a lot of damage that you can cause yourself, and it's avoidable. You don't have to have sugar. You don't need sugar to get by in your diet, and it's okay every now and then to have a treat. But as we know, sugar is very, very toxic, but it is also very, very addictive, because what happens is when we consume sugar, the author says that our body releases dopamine, which is the happy hormone that makes us feel satisfied, makes us feel good. And it gives us a high, it gives us a sugar high, very, very similar to drugs. And that's why it becomes very addictive, and it causes us to crave it. And the more you eat, the more you want to eat, because there's no limiter. The brain, our bodies, don't have a limiter when it comes to sugar to say enough is enough, stop it now. So because of that, our bodies also build up a tolerance. So the more sugar you consume, the more you need to consume to get the same reward hit of dopamine. So it is quite interesting. And I know myself, every few years, every now and then, I fall into the trap where I start to drink soft drinks, I start having chocolates, I start having desserts, and the more sugar I have, the more I want. And the worst thing of all is when you kick off the day and have a bit of chocolate in the morning, or you have a finger bun or a donut or something sweet, because what happens is I become ravenous the whole day, and for the rest of the day I'm just eating rubbish and I just can't stop. There's just no off switch. So the author here, I guess, has a call to action, and the call to action is to avoid sugar and all types of sweeteners at all costs, because we just can't control ourselves regardless of how much self-control we think we have. You know, once we're under pressure, once we're stressed and we're looking for comfort food and we hit sugar, then there's no end in sight. And the last point that the author talks about, so we've talked about sugar, we've talked about movement, and the last point here is about sleep. So the author here raises an interesting point which I wasn't quite aware of myself, but he says that the worst thing you can do in the morning is hit the snooze button. So why is it so wrong to hit the snooze button and sleep for another 10 minutes in the morning? Now I know a lot of people who hit the snooze or get the snooze button to start early, and every 10 minutes they'll switch it off, switch it off, switch it off, and they'll sleep for another hour, but every 10 minutes being jolted by the alarm. Because what the author here says, and this is interesting, is that when you're hitting the snooze button, you think you're sleeping, but it's inefficient sleeping. And it's not allowing a quality of sleep. So what the author here is saying is that you're better off not hitting the snooze button and sleeping for that extra hour and then waking up as soon as the alarm goes off, rather than waking up an hour earlier and thinking that you're getting 5 or 6 10-minute bursts of sleep. Because what happens is that once you hit the snooze button and you start falling asleep again, just as you're going into deep sleep, you're woken again. Your sleep is disturbed, and that's what causes us to feel groggy and tired. So it's not good, according to this author, to be lying in bed and to be semi-awake. You're better off just enjoying your sleep for as long as you can, and when the time comes to get up, you simply get up. So the sort of thing that I do that works for me is that once an alarm goes off, I can hear the alarm, but I don't even need the alarm. I get up much earlier these days. But once the alarm goes off, I just count to myself in my mind, backwards, 3, 2, 1, and just kick my foot up and just fling myself out of bed. And that's it, I'm up. And I don't need anything else to get me going in the morning. So I think that's it. So thank you very much for joining me on this episode of Jim's 5 a.m. Club, where it's amazing. We just learn something new all the time. And all of these learnings, all of these life hacks, we can use immediately and incorporate them in our lives, or pass them on to our friends, our family, our children, our grandchildren, and hopefully help them lead better lives as well. So this book was entitled Eat, Move, Sleep by Tom Rath. A very different book to the other books that he's written. But once again, it's a book which is interesting. It's a book which teaches us something that we can incorporate. It's practical. OPE, other people's experience. So thank you once again on joining me on this little journey, this walk and talk, this vultula, as they say in Greek, where we can be partners in each other's growth and development, where we can hopefully live, learn something new and pass it on, as we mentioned, and to come again from a different location with a different message of empowerment, where we can continue to grow and develop. Because as we know, the art of learning is simply combining the unknown to the known. So the more we know, the more we are capable of knowing. So the more we learn, the more we are capable of learning, because what we're doing is we're creating hooks in our brain. And because humans are teleological in nature, we want to always find a solution to a problem. And once we have that hook, once we have that curiosity, then we'll scour the universe to try and find an answer to complete our confirmation bias. So there you go. Keep on learning. Embrace lifelong learning is the key message for all of us. And one of the things that I take pride in with Jim's 5 a.m. Club is to be able to showcase the beauty of this wonderful country that we live in, showing you the coastline, showing you the bushes, showing you monuments, and also hopefully overlaying that with a message of empowerment, where we learn from the best. We learn from people who have had the passion to document their lives, their understandings, their learnings, their wisdom, their knowledge, and pass it on to others. So I see myself as an emissary, a messenger, just taking what others have generated and putting it into an interesting format, adding a little bit more of my spin to it where possible to make it relevant to me so that I can learn it and to pass it on to my friends and family and hopefully to future generations. Because the beauty of digital technology, I'm able to upload it to Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and LinkedIn. So I've got a huge variety of platforms that I've been able to capture all of these books and pass them on, and these will be there for as long as the internet is there. So thank you once again, and we'll chat again, and have a wonderful, wonderful Sunday. It's the last day of the month. To all of those naysayers, to all of those negative Nancys, the doomsdayers who were saying that October was going to be the month where the share market crashed, you were wrong, and you were wrong once again. To all those knobs who were saying that the housing market was going to decrease by 40% or more, and they've been saying this year after year for the past decade or two, or maybe even three, and house prices have tripled and quadrupled over that time. So nobody's been to the future, especially the negative people. They've not been there either. So all they're doing is just reflecting and sharing their own internal issues, their own internal sensitivities, their own internal fears, uncertainty and doubts, and foisting them on the unsuspecting public who trust them and who think that with their authoritative voice they know what they're talking about. But we all know they know absolutely nothing. And if you're lined up and you listed all of their predictions over their lifetimes, you will see that they're way off the mark every single time. Take care, and we'll chat again. Yassas, and bye for now.